Ladies and nerds, I wanted to share sort of an inside look at parts of my coaching business, how I've sort of built it up, some things that have worked for me, where I'm at financially right now, and kind of hopefully give you guys a little bit of maybe some value, some motivation, some permission to start a business if that's something that you want to do, but you're sort of nervous or scared. And I'm going to talk about some of the learning lessons and things that I've learned along the way. Now, some caveats. This is not the only one correct way to run a business. Obviously, I'm just some guy who's put a lot of effort in over the last 3 or 4 years, and certain things have worked, certain things haven't worked. So take this video as what has worked for me, Andy, not necessarily what will work for you. Now, some of these principles I do believe will work for everyone, but take that with a grain of salt. I also still have a long way to go. I will make that very clear. I have some very big financial goals. My eventual big goal is 100 grand a month. I'd love to earn more than that, but I think I'd be pretty fucking happy with 100 grand a month. That's in US dollars, obviously. So I'm nowhere near there. I'll talk in a second about how much I'm currently earning. Nowhere near 100 grand, but take everything I'm saying as what's worked for me to get me to this point that I'm at right now. I'm not the expert. I'm not earning millions of dollars a year or any of that sort of thing. So take that with a grain of salt. There's some lessons that I've learned along the way. So my best month ever was, I think, 80,000 US dollars in a month. That only happened once. I then had a couple more months of like 30 grand, 40 grand, some pretty damn good months. I think last month was 35 grand or something like that. Along the way, I've also had plenty of months with like basically no money, like $2,000, $3,000. A big reason why is I just haven't always been consistent. Consistency is something that I'm absolutely working on now. It's part of why I'm doing the 100 minutes a day project, which, by the way, I've now gone to 200 minutes a day. So I'm doing 200 minutes a day of content and giving value to people. And, I call it serving people, like trying to help you guys and anyone else out there that I can possibly help. So I'm being more consistent, but that's a big reason why I would have these like massive months where we'd hit like, 30 grand, 40 grand, 50 grand. And then the next month, like 1 grand, because I wasn't consistent with doing content. I wasn't consistent with helping people. I wasn't consistent with sitting down with people and seeing if they wanted to do coaching. And I was sort of subconsciously screening people out of the coaching because we would have these big months. I'd get overwhelmed because I was doing all the coaching myself and it was mostly one-on-one calls. I've since now brought on Cam and we've got two other guys in the group who are sort of like mini coaches as well. So there's a lot less on my plate, but because I was doing most of or all of the work myself, I'd get overwhelmed and then I kind of screen people out of the coaching. And maybe some of you listening are like, holy shit, yeah, he's right. Like I emailed him to ask for coaching and he basically said no to me. I was like turning people down because I was like, I can't fucking handle this. So that's why it's been inconsistent. So if your effort is inconsistent, obviously the money will be inconsistent too. I think that goes without saying, but that's one of the first big lessons that I've learned. So let's talk about what the average months are right now. The average months are now, oh, don't look at that. I'll show you that in a second. Okay, so this is like the last month, and these are in Australian dollars. So 21 grand earned in the last 4 weeks, which works out to be 14,000 US dollars. If I just show you the average over the last 3 months, it's 83,000 Australian, which works out to be 56,000 US, which if you divide that by 3, that ends up being roughly $18,000 per month in US dollars. That's sort of the average over the last 3 months. And so that again is just from being consistent. So I'm showing you that just so you can see where I'm at right now with all the advice that I'm about to give you. In the future, hopefully I'll be earning more than that, but all the advice I'm about to give you right now is from a person who has averaged over the last 3 months $18,000. So do with that information what you will. Like I said, I would take everything I'm saying as just what has worked for me. It is not necessarily the best way of doing a business. It is not correct. I'm not saying all of that. Blah, 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 blah. Let's get straight into it. So some things that have worked really well for me so far is probably the biggest one is give as much value as humanly possible. The main person who drilled this into me was Good Looking Loser, Chris from Good Looking Loser, who essentially said if you build really good content where you just help a bunch of people, people will come. The money will start coming. Now, there is a delay in that, and I think a lot of people go wrong there. They go, okay, well, Andy and Good Looking Loser and all these other people who say the same thing, and I'll list out a bunch of people who give this same advice as well in a second. all those people just give as much value as possible. So therefore, if I give a ton of value, within 6 months, I should be earning what they're earning. It's like, no, this shit can take years. Like, it has taken me, I've been working on this for like 4 years at this point. I've been giving value for longer than that because I was giving value on the Good Looking forums, obviously for free. I've given value on Reddit. I've written articles and all of that. I didn't earn a single dollar from my website until about 2 years into writing my website. Now, I wasn't trying to make money. I'll make that clear. So obviously, if you are trying to make money, you'll make it quicker. But yeah, it can take a while building essentially an organic business, if you know that terminology. I don't do any advertising. I don't pay for any advertising. I don't do any marketing tricks or any of that sort of stuff. It's just entirely like I've built this literally just from helping people. So I guess that is hopefully a source of inspiration for some of you. If you're willing to just fucking help people and you're willing to do it over a long enough period of time, like again, at this point, I've been doing it for 4 years, actual official content, like having a blog, having a YouTube channel and shit like that. Longer than that, actually helping people, maybe 6 years, 7 years, 8 years of helping people. If you're willing to do it for long enough, you can, with no fucking marketing, no payments, no advertising, no nothing, just literally helping people, you can earn, can't guarantee you'll earn what I'm earning, but it's possible. Like, look, I'm fucking doing it. You can do it too. No guarantees, but like, you probably do better than me because I made a lot of mistakes and we're going to cover a lot of those in this episode. So yeah, organic is all that I've ever done, just helping people, giving as much as possible. I got that from Good Looking Loser. Some of my friends also absolutely drilled that into me as well. Alex Hormozi is someone that talks about giving value all the time. In fact, the way that he phrases it is he's like, it's not give, take, give, take, give, take. His mindset is like, I just give. And then at some point, I don't even have to ask for money. They just want to throw fucking money at me. So, he talks about that. Gary Vee is someone that talks a lot about giving, and then you can ask for something. Pat Flynn from Smart Passive Income talks about the same shit. Dan Henry talks about the same shit. There are so many like big name entrepreneurs. What's his name? Tony Robbins is another really good one, who just talk about giving as much value as you humanly possibly can. Another really good thing to keep in mind, a quote, I can't remember which one of them said it, but I've heard a lot of them say it, so I don't know which one originated this, but basically you want your free content to be better than your competitors' paid content. And that's what I've tried to have in my head. Good Looking Loser was probably the first person to tell me that, but I've heard other people say that. Alex Hormozi has said that, plenty of other people. And so like if you go and look at my Tinder guide, which there's a link in the description to the Tinder guide, it's 130,000 words long. I put so much fucking effort into that. That thing took me like a year to write, maybe 9 months of just solid writing to really flesh out and get done. And it's free. 100% fucking free. There's like no, you must enter your email to read this. I do ask for your email if you want the condensed version, but like the full fucking version is there on my website. No, payment gateway, no nothing. It's just there. That Tinder guide is better than, I will say, 99% of paid courses that you could pay $20,000 for. Like masterminds, training courses, video courses, ebooks, whatever. I guarantee you my Tinder guide is, and this isn't bragging, go and fucking read the Tinder guide. It's at least more in-depth and comprehensive, coming with more proof, because I have proof that I actually walk the talk. There's like nude pictures that I've shot with women and photo shoots we've done together and videos and shit in the actual Tinder guide, so you can see that. I talk about my journey. I talk about my transformation. It covers everything. It covers the self-improvement stage, how to take better pictures, what to actually text the women, the mindset you want to have with all of this stuff, what to do on the dates, what to do in sex, how to get better at sex, how to keep them around afterwards, like how to build it into a long-term relationship. Like everything is in there. It's not just like, here's what to text a girl on Tinder. It's like everything you could ever ask me about Tinder. Everything. And it's completely free. And so, again, that sort of came from Good Looking Loser and some other people. But if you can, I'm not saying you have to write a 130,000 word Tinder guide, although if you do write something that big, good fucking job. That definitely took me like 9 months or a year to get that done. But I can now say my free content is orders of magnitude better and more helpful and more value giving. It's not just about being better. You're trying to help people. Orders of magnitude giving more value than like anything you would pay for anywhere else. And so with that, people then come to you and go, holy fuck, if this is what this motherfucker is giving me for free, what the hell happens if I pay him? Like, holy fucking shit. What the hell happens if I pay him and I get like 12 weeks of attention from him? Jesus Christ, that must be amazing. And so, yeah, that's something that's really worked for me. Very similar to that is pour your heart and soul into your business. So you can see how that ties nicely into the previous one. Another way of thinking about that, or maybe a better way of thinking about that, is pour your heart and soul into helping people, right? Because this isn't just building a business. And if building a business is your only goal and you don't really give a fuck about helping people, even if you're that cynical and like narrow-minded and you only care about making money, the best way of making money is helping people. Like, if you understand what money is just a value exchange. We give money to people because we say, I think this is worth it. I believe this product or this service that I'm paying for is going to make my life better in some way. In other words, if I give you this money, you are going to give me value. That is literally what money exchange is. It's money for value. And so if you can give more value, you will get more money. If you change someone's life, you can literally charge more money and you'll have more customers and you'll have better feedback and you'll get more word of mouth referrals. You will get more of that shit versus if you just do an okay job. Like, think about a restaurant that you've been to that is just like mind blowing. You want to go back and visit that restaurant again. You want to take your friends there. In America and places that have a tipping culture, you want to tip them higher. Like, you literally want to give more money to that restaurant compared to some restaurant that you go to and the food is like, okay. You're never going to go there again. And so you can see how just literally giving value, it sounds so unbelievably simple, but it's the thing that people think about the least when they're building a business or when they're trying to help people or whatever. They don't think about like the value proposition. Like, what value am I giving to the client or the customer? Like, am I actually helping them? Am I entertaining them? Am I changing their life? Am I giving them some sort of service or a product? Like, am I genuinely having a positive impact on their life? In other words, when they walk away from me or my business or whatever it is, will they have a smile on their face? And how big will that smile be? And then you drill it into your head and you say, my only mission is to make that smile as big as I possibly can. My only mission is to make them as happy as I possibly can. If you just have that at the forefront of your business, if that's just like in your mind, the same shit applies to dating and just even casual sex, by the way. If you literally have it in your head, I want this person to walk away with the biggest possible smile on their face that they can. Holy fuck, like everything gets better. Like everything is easier. They will be more enthusiastic, like when they see you. They will be more likely to respond to your text. They will be initiating some of those texts. They will stick around for longer. They will be kinder to you. There will be less drama. The sex will be orders of magnitude better because they're excited to see you. They're enthusiastic. They're passionate. Like everything gets better if you can just drill it into your head. I will give as much value as I possibly can. I've done so much content on giving value, so I won't necessarily, belabor this point anymore, but drill it into your head. I want to pour my heart and soul into my business and helping people and leaving a smile on their beautiful little faces. Another thing that's really helped me, on this journey so far is being very personal. So I obviously took a page out of Good Looking Loser's book, but plenty of other people do this same thing, like Mark Manson, Pat Flynn, Alex Hormozi, and I only knew Alex Hormozi fairly recently. So let's just refer to the ones that I knew when I started this business, which was Chris from Good Looking Loser and Mark Manson. Those two especially were so unbelievably vulnerable. Caleb Jones is another decent one, though he's less vulnerable, and that's not a criticism. He's a little more private, I would say. But Good Looking Loser and Mark Manson shared so much of themselves, and I respected the fuck out of that, and it made me really understand them as human beings and get to know them, and I wanted to be part of, their communities, so to speak. I wanted to give them money and shit like that, and I did. I bought products that Good Looking Loser talked about. He didn't have a coaching program or a book or anything, but I threw money at him through 10 of his things that he recommends that I bought. Mark Manson, I bought his book. I've given these people money because they've been so fucking open and vulnerable, and I feel like I can trust them. And so I've obviously tried to do the same with my content. I'm not always perfect with it, but I've shared a lot of fucking shit. If you guys go back and actually have a look at the Tinder guide, look at my transformation article, look at my depression video, which is like a 3-hour video and a massive long article of me talking about when I was suicidal, how I got through that, all of that shit. Look at the video that I did, at this, I think it was at the start of this year, talking about my experience with prison. It was like a 3-part series. That was fucking scary to talk about. I opened up and talked about that. I've shared all of my doubts and insecurities so many times. I've shared the doubts with being able to pay the rent and, fuck guys, like I don't know how I'm going to build this business. I don't know how I'm going to pay the rent. I'm scared. I'm nervous. All of that shit. I've tried to be as honest and forthcoming as I possibly can. And again, this stuff doesn't just apply to business. This has absolutely helped me like crazy when it comes to dating, casual sex, relationships, like love, all of that kind of stuff. Just being as honest and authentic and real. I call it just being real, like not fucking around, not having games, not holding anything back. Obviously, on the first date, you don't have to like dump everything on the other person. Like, I think you guys understand that. But when I'm asked a question, I try and answer it as honestly as I possibly can. When someone is unsure about like where the relationship is going, I just try and be as honest as I possibly can. So honesty and just being open and very personal is part of the reason why you're even listening to me rant into this camera right now. The reason you're here is because I'm me. You come to my channel and the one thing you can rely on above all else, okay, probably two things. One is he's going to try and help me because that's what every fucking video I've tried to do. The second thing is he's going to be undeniably Andy. He's not going to make excuses and make apologies for being himself. He's just going to be Andy. All these flaws, warts and all, he's going to be fucking Andy. It's why you come to this channel. I've said this a million times, and plenty of smarter people than I have said this. A lot of the content creators and people that you follow and mentors and people that you look up to and all of that, you follow them because of who they are. You don't care as much about what they talk about. Like, you don't go to Mark Manson's website necessarily for the advice he gives. I mean, you do, but like you go because you want to hear what Mark Manson has to say about topics. Same as like Joe Rogan. You will listen to fucking anything Joe Rogan might talk about because you want to hear what Joe Rogan has to say about XYZ. You almost don't care what XYZ is. Lex Friedman, like any of these people, that you might follow, you want to just hear what they have to say, even on obscure topics, like random shit you would never expect them to talk about. You're still mildly interested because you're like, well, I just want to hear what this guy has to say. So you're going for the person. We fall in love with people. We listen to people. We connect to people, not as much what they have to say. What they have to say is obviously important too. If my content was absolute dog shit, you wouldn't be here. But being personal and open and vulnerable is probably another way of phrasing that, is a big part of the reason why I've gotten to this point. So I definitely have Chris from Good Looking Loser to thank for that, and Mark Manson as well. Mark Manson is very honest. If you've never like checked out Mark Manson's stuff, he has some amazing concepts, like amazing fucking shit, and he's very honest and very vulnerable. Another thing that's really helped me so far is having a mission that people can get behind. So my mission is obviously I want to improve your life. I want to improve everybody's lives, as many people as I can, rather than just I want to make lots of money. And even the goal of making a lot of money, I told you before I want to earn $100,000 a month, US. That is there so that I can give back. Like having $100,000 come into my bank account every month would holy fuck free me up to do so much shit. Holy shit. I could pay Cam a ridiculous amount of money, Cam being, the assistant coach in my program. I could pay more coaches. We've already just brought on 2 like mini coaches, assistant coaches. I could have more of them. I could spend more time writing more ebooks and video courses. I could upgrade this goddamn podcast room. I could go outside and do interviews with people, which is something I've always wanted to do, like go outside and just interview strangers and ask them about sex, dating, money, life, philosophy, shit like that. I could go and do crazy things like let me go on some, go to South America and take ayahuasca and document the whole fucking thing, like and pay for the trip and shit like that, which I can't afford to do that right now. So like having that money is there so that I can continue to do what I'm doing. So at the forefront of my mind is I want to help people. And when you have a mission like that, a mission that people can get behind, the entire world, not the entire world, but like it feels like the entire world gets behind you and wants to support you because your idea or your mission has universal appeal. Like if I say, or if it comes across, it's not just about saying it, it's about like actually living it, right? Because you won't just believe my words, you'll look at my actions. So if my actions show I'm just here to help people, I just want to fucking help people. And if I get rich along the way, awesome, but I want to fucking help people. If that's what my actions show, the vast majority of the world can get behind that and we'll go, this guy wants to make the world a little better. That's cool. That has universal appeal. Most people aren't going to talk you out of trying to make the world a little better. But if my mission was, I want to make lots of money, and if I give you probably the best, most relevant example right now, someone like Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate, Fresh and Fit are another example, but Andrew Tate is probably the best example right now of someone who doesn't have universal appeal. The people that like Andrew Tate really like Andrew Tate, beautiful, that's wonderful. The people that don't like Andrew Tate really don't like Andrew Tate. Like really, 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 in fact, try and sabotage him, try and put him in jail, all of that kind of stuff. I think most of you would agree that Andrew Tate happens to be a very controversial figure right now. That's because his mission doesn't have universal appeal. And that's fine. That's his mission. He can have whatever mission he wants. That's not me saying that his mission is wrong or stupid or anything like that. But you can see the difference there. Like, think about Mother Teresa, for example, or what's another good example? Tony Robbins as a more recent example. The vast majority of the world likes Tony Robbins, or at least supports him, or at least won't sabotage his mission. And it's not just about being a people pleaser and caring what everybody else thinks, but if you're trying to really change the world, if you're trying to have a big impact, if you're trying to make a lot of money, if you're trying to just do any of these things, having a mission that a lot more people can get behind absolutely helps, because then people won't sabotage you. They won't talk you out of it. They won't try and bring you down because, again, to use the example of Andrew Tate, if you have that kind of mission that not everybody supports, like a lot of Andrew Tate's mission is, I have a big dick and I want to be the biggest dick god in the world and like fuck all the haters and fuck yo, I'm top G, I'm fucking, like it's hubris, it's arrogance, it's self-conceit. And that isn't a value judgment. That isn't me saying he's bad or wrong or any of that. Nothing. I have nothing against the guy. I don't know the guy. But you can see how not everybody wants to get behind you talking about how you're the best person in the world and you're top G and fuck everybody else and fuck society and they're all against me and fuck the Matrix. Like, you can see how a lot of people would go, well, I don't want to help you with that. That sounds arrogant. That sounds like that's your ego talking. Like, and so, yeah, you can see how having a mission that more people can get behind can definitely help you, because in so many times of need, so to speak, or times of like loneliness or times where I was struggling to pay the bills, which there's been a lot of those times, because my mission was something that a lot of people can get behind. I want to improve people's lives. I want us all to leave women better than we found them. Even a so-called shallow goal, like, I want to have more sex and I want you guys to have more sex. Because I'm doing that in a way that has more universal appeal, I'm saying, let's do this in an honest, ethical way where we add to the women's lives and they have a great time and we have a great time and we connect as human beings and it's wonderful and all of that. There's more people that can get behind that. And so in those moments of needs where, I've struggled to pay the bills, or I'm really stressed, or I'm scared about something, you guys and girls have gotten behind me like fucking crazy. You guys and girls have been so unbelievably kind, empathetic, loyal, because you can see the mission. You're like, this is a special mission. This motherfucker wants to make the world a little bit better. And I don't have any big, arrogant ego notions of like, I'm going to radically change the world. I just want to make the world a tiny bit better. In my mind, if I can make the world 0.1% better, I've done something amazing. That's beautiful. And I got the rest of my life to do that. But because you see that mission and you think that's something special, you won't let anyone talk me out of my mission. Anytime I do get negative comments, people jump on that and they're like, no, whoa, stop. No, hey, I disagree, blah, blah, blah. Because the mission has universal appeal. So I might do a separate video on universal appeal if you guys want to. There's a book that talks about this a lot. It's called The Map of Consciousness Explained by David Hawkins. Really good book. And he talks about, if you're building a business, have a mission, a mission statement or a purpose or an idea in your head, a philosophy, where it has some sort of universal appeal. Like, people can get behind it. Again, people can get behind, I want to improve people's lives. It's a little bit harder to get behind someone who just says, I want to make a ton of money and fuck a lot of bitches. It's like, why do I want to help you make a lot of money? The fuck do I give a shit about you making a lot of money? But I do give a shit about you trying to make the world better. And I do give a shit about you trying to give me lots of value. So that's another way you can have universal appeal. Try and give people as much value as you can, as I said earlier, and they will get behind you. They will want you to win because they know if you win, then you just have more to give to them. So universal appeal has absolutely helped me. Just very, very, very related to that, I have spent a lot of time focusing on what I can give people rather than what I can get from them. And so, yeah, that ties nicely into the previous 2 points. Try and give as much value as you can rather than trying to get stuff from people. And so you'll notice even in the language I use, like in my coaching signups, and especially any of you who've jumped on a call with me to see if you want to do coaching, you'll see that I'm not trying to get something from you. I'm not trying to get your money. Obviously, I would fucking love your money. That would be beautiful. Thank you so much. I would love that. But you'll see I'm not using language that tries to get your money. I'm trying to give you help. I'm saying, what are you struggling with? How can I help? How can the coaching program help? How can the other guys in the group help? How can my content help? Like, how can we make your life better? And yes, you will give me money for that. I'm not going to do it for free. And even that's not true. I fucking do tons of shit for free. But in the coaching, I'm not going to give you my coaching time for free. So yes, you are giving me money, but how can we make that a beautiful mutual exchange where I give you as much as I possibly can, that you want to just fucking throw money at me because you're like, holy shit, this guy is changing my life. Please take my money, sir. So focus on what you can give people rather than trying to get shit from them. That is very similar to the example that I used before of Andrew Tate. And I'll try and think of like another example because I don't want to just hate on Andrew Tate because I don't particularly hate Andrew Tate. Again, I don't know him, but he's just the one that comes to mind right now. Like he's just the most in the news, the most, out there. He is very clearly trying to get things. And now he does give as well. He gives some value and stuff like that. But for the most part, most of his content is him trying to build himself up. Talking about, hey, he's top G, he's this, he's that, he's this, he's that. And trying to get. Or take. And as I said before, that doesn't necessarily have universal appeal. And it doesn't make a lot of people who watch the content go, oh, like, let me give to this guy. Because they're like, well, he's already taking. He doesn't need me to give. And so there's this nice thing that happens when you give as much value as you can. People feel like I struggle to say this word, reciprocation. I'll just say that. They want to give back because they're like, this guy gave me so much shit for free. I want to give him money. Like, I want to say thank you. I'm grateful to him. And so you enter into this really nice, like I said, mutually beneficial relationship. And it basically is a relationship where you've given them so much value rather than trying to get shit from them, get money from them, get attention, get clicks, get likes, all of that. You're trying to just give value and then they feel grateful. And so they will give you money back and they will give you gratitude with that money. They will tell you. I've had so many fucking people email me, which it sounds insane, but after enough times, you just get used to it, where they will pay the invoice, like pay for the coaching. They'll pay, up front. Here you go, here's 10 grand. And then they'll say, thank you so much for, accepting me. Thank you for taking my money. Thank you so much, dude, for letting me pay you. I've wanted to pay you for so long. I'm so excited to do coaching. You changed my life with the Tinder guide and the forums and this and that. Like, thank you for taking my money. And it sounds insane. It's like, why would someone thank you for letting you give them 10 grand? Or did I say that right? Yeah, you get what I mean. Because you've fucking given value to them. So that's something that's really, really, really helped me, is just giving as much value as I possibly can. And it comes back in spades, I promise you. Now, like I said before, there can be a delay on that. Don't just give to people and then put your hand up and be like, come on, you got to give back. And it's like, bro, no, sometimes you have to give for years before that shit really starts coming back. But it comes back in spades. If you want to get, I think it was Alex Hormozi who said this, if you want to get, a tiny bit rich, take as much as you possibly can, and you can get a little bit rich. You can earn $1 million a year. You can earn a few $1 million a year. You can get, reasonably rich from just trying to take. But if you want to be unbelievably, obscenely wealthy, you have to give, and you have to think more in terms of long term. Think in terms of decades, he says, rather than like the immediate next couple of months or years. So if you can just think a little bit more long term, maybe that's something else that's helped me that I don't think I wrote here in my notes. But if you can think more long term, and think in terms of like, am I going to be giving away value and doing content 10 years from now? I've always thought like that. In fact, I've thought in terms of like my entire life. And I can't guarantee what I'll be doing in 50 years, but that's just how I've thought. I've thought, could I do content? Could I do YouTube? Could I do blog articles? Could I help people for the next 50 years? And it's like, hell yes. I love doing this. I love helping people. Yes. So I'm thinking like 50 years in the future. I'm thinking for the rest of my fucking life. And if you can think in terms of that like long-term future, then you can build something really fucking beautiful. Not just like a ton of money, but a beautiful community where people will have your back, you will have theirs. You're all grateful for each other. They then go on to affect other people's lives and improve other people's lives. You can build something quite special. So I've always focused on what I can give rather than what I'm trying to get. And that doesn't ever mean you don't get something. Obviously, I mentioned coaching. I'm probably going to mention coaching at the end of this video. So you still have like your calls to action and you still say, hey, by the way, I have coaching. Would you like to sign up? You still do all that shit. But yeah, it's about giving 99% of the time and then 1% of the time just mentioning, hey, I have coaching. I have a video course. I have this. So I think you get that. And I want to make something really clear. I think I've made this clear, but I don't really have anything against Andrew Tate. I really fucking hope that comes across. Like I said, he's just the example right now of someone that's focused more on what he's trying to get and focused more on building his own ego or his own brand up. And people say that's a marketing strategy. Like, sure, but that's kind of the point that I'm making here. As a marketing strategy, I'll phrase this another way. I don't believe, and I can't know, but I don't believe that Andrew Tate will still be relevant 5 years from now. I really don't. I just don't think. Like his ideas just don't have universal appeal. There are too many people that are trying to sabotage him. There are too many people that don't like him because of his ego and his arrogance and the way he talks and his abrasiveness and all of that. And that's a beautiful marketing strategy. Like, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm not saying he's a bad person for doing that, but that isn't the kind of longevity that I personally want. And I think some of you want. I want to leave a positive mark on the world. I want 50 years from now, if possible, people still be interacting with me and I'm still helping people and all of that. I don't just want to be like a flame that burns brightly but burns out quickly. I want to be that slow burn flame for the rest of my life. So yeah, and again, I can't tell you whether or not Andrew Tate will burn out, but personally, I've just seen enough people over the last 36 years of my life that burn like Andrew Tate and are just fucking like, do any of you know who's a good example? Corey Worthington. When I say that name, do any of you even know who I'm referring to? Corey Worthington had exactly the same energy as Andrew Tate, and some of you won't even know who the fuck that name is. And that's kind of my point here. So history is littered with a lot of people that are very abrasive intentionally because it's a marketing campaign, but then people just, it's not a good energy. It doesn't have long-lasting appeal, as opposed to like a Mother Teresa or a Tony Robbins or Mark Manson or any of these kind of people where it's like they're genuinely trying to help people. And think about how you guys feel about Chris from Good Looking Loser. The guy hasn't written an article in like fucking 10 years, and yet we're all still talking about him as if he's still here. We're all still loving him as much as we did 10 years ago. Why? Because the guy has universal appeal. At the end of the day, he wanted to make your life better. He was like the big brother that you never had. I felt very much a sense of love coming from Chris in his articles. Like, he loved me, even though he'd never met me. He loved us, even though he'd never met us. And so that's the kind of legacy that I personally am looking to build. I know no legacy lasts forever. I know one day I'll be dead, and then after that, there'll be a day where everybody forgets my name, of course. But while I'm here, I want to positively affect as many people as I possibly can. And I don't see that from certain people, Andrew Tate just happening to be one of them. Not the only one, obviously. So yeah, no hate on Andrew Tate, just isn't the direction that I want to go in. Okay, so raising prices, so money. I started out very cheap. I think my coaching, so I did a few for free, and then I think the cheapest I ever was like $15 an hour US. And those calls that were meant to be 1 hour, I've always had this thing where, and this is just giving value, I guess, where anytime I say a call is going to go for an hour or half an hour, like you guys know right now, I'm doing the $200 calls for 30 minutes. They rarely go for 30 minutes. I did one the other day. It was like an hour and a half. Like, I don't know. I like talking to people, and I don't like the classic like psychologist or counselor thing that they do where they're like, all right, time's up, and you're like, you're sitting there bawling your eyes out, you're crying, you're like in the middle of like a big deep fucking epiphany, and they look at the clock and they're like, all right, sorry, time's up, you got to go. I've never wanted to be that person, so I'll stay for longer. And yeah, I've had plenty of calls that go over time. So back to the point, I was doing like $20 calls, but they would last for like 3 hours. And yeah, that's like fuck all money, obviously. But to me, that was amazing. The fact that someone would pay me $20 and I got to help them, that was just mind blowing. And I was obviously working a full-time job at that point. So I was trying to fit like coaching in wherever I could. I was staying up till crazy hours of the night, like 11 p.m. and shit like that, just ruining my sleep and then having to get up at like 5 a.m. the next morning. But it was I sort of romanticized that time in my life because it was fucking beautiful. And I slowly raised my prices over time. And there were several ways that I would raise it, or several mindsets that I had while raising my prices. I would ask myself 2 questions usually. One, am I starting to feel a little bit of resentment toward, or like potential resentment towards my clients for how little they're paying, or like the price that they're paying right now? As in, do I feel like, it's not the right way of phrasing it, but almost like, fuck, I don't want to phrase it like this. I'll just use the word resentment. I would ask myself, like, am I starting to feel a tiny bit of resentment of like, oh, fuck, man, this guy's only paying me like $20 and I'm putting like 3 hours worth of effort. And then I was putting in more effort than that too, because I used to write notes before every call, which I don't do anymore. Now I just show up, I'm here, like, we're going to talk about whatever we're going to talk about. But I used to prepare. So I'd probably spend like an hour writing notes and then I'd have like a 2 or 3 hour call. And so if I started to feel a bit of resentment or a bit of like frustration or a little bit of pressure or stress, or like, fuck, I really don't have enough time in the week. Because like I said, I was working a full-time job and the commute to that job was like 2 hours there and then 2 hours back. And so if I felt that like frustration of like, fuck, like, oh man, I'm doing all this work and only getting $20, then I would put my price up a little bit. And the second question that I would ask myself is, if this guy was to just pay like $5 an hour more or $20, $10 extra an hour more, what would I feel towards this guy? And I'd think about it, and I'd always come to the idea of like, fuck, man, if this guy paid me like $30 instead of $20, oh man, I'd be so grateful. I'd be able to do so much more for him because my heart would just be filled with gratitude and love. And I just want to help this motherfucker so much. I'd want to change his goddamn life. And so those two questions helped me sort of raise my price. And I just raise it up to that level that would get me that feeling. So if I was charging $20, $30 might make me feel really grateful and amazing, and just, I want to help this guy, I want to change his life. So then I just say to the person, hey dude, it's going to go up to $30. Is that okay? Or often what I did for most of it was I actually kept people at the same price for a long time. And so if it was an old coaching client and he was paying $20, I'd keep him on the $20 and then I'd tell the new people it's $30. And then the original guy, if my price got too high, like got really high, then I would tell the original guy, listen, dude, my price is actually here right now. This is what I'm charging everybody else. I'm only charging you this much. Can we like bridge that gap? I don't want to charge you full price because you're one of my like OG clients and I love you and all of that. But like, how do we get it like in there? And so I just would sort of like talk to people and keep them on the same team as me. And like, I wouldn't ever just tell them like, hey, the price is going up. There's nothing wrong with doing that, by the way, but I just personally wanted to have like a relationship with everybody. So yeah, I would slowly raise my prices up, and I raised them like, at this point in time, they're 10,000, or the coaching is $10,000 for the 12 weeks. So you can see how I went from like, well, I started out free, but like from $20 an hour to $10,000, and that price is going to go up slowly to $20,000. That's my mission right now. I'm slowly putting it up with each new client that signs up. And so it can be this like slow build. You don't have to just, although you can if you want to, but you don't have to just start out charging crazy money. I think a lot of people who are starting a business think like, fuck, I don't know if I can charge someone like $500. Like, I don't know how I'd give that much value. Yeah, then don't charge them that much. Like, here's another way of thinking about it. And this is something that's really helped me. Whatever amount I'm charging them, I want to give them like 10 times that much value. So if they're paying $20 an hour, I want to give them what someone else would charge $100 for an hour. Like if they're going to pay 10 grand, like my coaching is right now, I want to give these motherfuckers $100,000 worth of value. Like whatever other people would charge for $100,000, or whatever this client might pay for $100,000, which you would pay $100,000, a lot of you, to absolutely change your life, and the rest of your life is orders of magnitude better. That's an amazing amount. Like that's a cheap fucking deal. $100,000 and the rest of my life is like orders of magnitude better. Like my relationships are 10 times better. I am happier. I am healthier. I don't hate myself. I don't constantly live in misery of like moving the goalposts. I reach enlightenment or some little bit of enlightenment. I make more money. Like that's absolutely a brilliant value proposition. And you're telling me I only have to pay $10,000 for that? $10,000, you're going to change my life for the rest of my fucking life. Yes, please. And so I've always tried to keep it in my head. How can I give like 10 times more value than I'm charging? So that's something that's really, really, really helped me. And that's similar to what I said before, just giving like a ton of value. And yeah, similar to that with each client, I've stuck it in my head. I want to change this person's life. Like, I'm not just here to like get them to have a little bit of sex, or I would like to help you make more money. It's like, no, I want this motherfucker for the rest of his life to remember this coaching, or to remember how I helped him, or to remember how he helped himself, really, because that's mostly what you're doing with coaching. You're helping them help themselves. And so I'm constantly asking myself that question, what do I need to do to change this person's life? And obviously you can't change 100% of people's lives. It depends on how much they put in. But I still have that firmly in my fucking head. How can I change this person's life? And over the last year, I've also asked myself a second question, which is, how can I love this person? That might sound like a strange thing to think when you're like, but you're just coaching people, dude. No, if you can like bring love to the table, if you can just have love in your heart or love in your mind or love in your soul, when you're talking to every single client, your entire interactions are different. Like everything is fucking different. You're more patient, you're more empathetic, you're more understanding. You even push them sometimes a little bit further than you would if you didn't have love in your heart, if you didn't have love firmly in your head, because that's what love does. Love is fucking energy. Love is like motivation. Love is kindness. Love is all of that kind of shit. And you actually get 10,000 times better results for your clients, or they get better results for themselves if you can focus on like changing their life and loving them. And there are times where that love thing really fucking helps. Like there are just times where you're with a client and you don't necessarily know, it's not that you don't know how to help them, but like you don't know what the thing that will help them is. And so you might have to try a bunch of different things, right? Like you don't know what the answer is that will fix them, but you have somewhere to start. You have like 10 possible ideas. And in those moments, it comes into my brain and I'm like, I don't really know how to like help this person. Like, I mean, I guess I do because I know what to start with, but I don't necessarily have the answer that will help them right now in this moment. I can't take their pain away right now in this moment. Okay, what if I just focused on, instead of trying to fix them, what if I just focused on loving them? And that concept comes from David Hawkins' book, Letting Go, because he was a psychologist who went through the same sort of shit. There was a client that he was trying to help and he didn't know how to fix her. So he said, what if I don't try and fix her and I just focus on loving her? And so falling back on that has just helped me so many times, like just focusing on how can I just love this client? I've tried to do the same thing in a lot of my content, especially the content that I do for people that I know are suffering, like the videos that I've done on, guys who struggle with losing their virginity and you feel very insecure about that. I did a video recently. I don't think it's out on my channel yet, although it might be. It's called If You're Asian or Indian and You're Insecure About It. And in those videos, and maybe you can tell if you go back and watch those videos, I just am holding in the forefront of my mind and my heart, I guess, I'm holding love. Like I'm literally thinking, how can I love this person? This person is hurting. This person is sad. Yes, I could just jump up there and be like, bro, stop worrying about your race or your height, bro. You're being a fucking pussy. Like, stop being a pussy. But it's like, no, this person is hurting. This person believes a story that they're unlovable or unworthy. That's got to fucking hurt. And I know how that feels because I felt unlovable and unworthy and undeserving for a long time. I'm just going to love this person. And all of my advice, I'm going to couch it in love. I'm going to coat it in love. I'm going to say it through the lens or the filter of love. And I'm just going to try and pour as much empathy and love. And I'm not always perfect with that. You don't have to be perfect. But asking myself with each client, how can I change this person's life or how can I love them, has really fucking helped. And I think it's probably part of the reason why you guys and girls watch, right? Because you feel, I would hope that you feel some sense of that I at least give a shit about you. Hopefully that I love you, but I at least care about you. I've actually done quite a few videos where I literally say, I love you. I've done quite a few videos on that where I'm like, if you feel alone, you feel like no one loves you, I love you. And I'll say that again. I love you. Another thing that's really helped me a lot is I will ask a lot of my clients, what do you need from me? Like, how can I best serve you? I would directly ask them. So rather than saying, I'm the expert, I have all the answers, I would just say like, hey bro, what do you need? Or hey lady, what do you need? How can I help you? Like, what do you want right now? What do you need? How can I serve you? What are you looking for? Sometimes I'll even say, when they ask a question, I'll say, what answer do you want me to give right now? What answer are you hoping that I'll give? Like, what advice are you hoping that I'll give? And they'll think about it and they'll be like, oh God, like, okay, well, man, if I'm honest, I'm kind of hoping that you'll say this. And then I'll say, there you go. That's the answer then. You have an answer that you want, which means the answer is inside you. You don't need the answer from me. That's the answer right there. That's the answer you're hoping for. It's the one that you want to go with. So there you go. Run with that advice. That's your answer. Go. And so asking people like, how can I best serve you? Or what do you need? Has really fucking helped. And because the other thing is a lot of the time, and this doesn't just apply to coaching. This applies to relationships. This applies to friendships. A lot of the time we're trying to mind read the other person. Like, let's say your friend is sad and you're sitting there going, how can I help my friend? Like, fuck, what do they need? What do they need? What if I try this? What if I try this? What if I try that? What if I try this? Especially if your friend is like grieving or something. I see this a lot at funerals, right? Where people try really hard, and I fucking love how hard they try. I think that's magical and beautiful, but they try really hard to give the person what they want instead of saying like, how can I be here for you? Like, what do you need? I think people are almost afraid to say, what do you need from me? Especially with friends and especially in relationships too, to just say like, look, I don't know. What do you need? Yeah, especially in relationships. That comes a lot where people are afraid of saying, like, I don't know what you want me to say, or I don't know how I can help you. I don't know what the right answer is. I don't know how to be here for you. I don't know how to love you. Like, I literally am not very good at love. I don't know how to do that. How can I love you better? Like, what, how can I do a better job? That's essentially what the question is. And in a coaching, a lot of coaches are very like, they put this pressure on themselves that they have to be the expert and they can never just say, I don't know, or how can I help you, or what do you need? And so I've tried to do the opposite. I've tried to sort of say, what do you guys need from me? Like, what answer are you looking for? What are you struggling with? Because sometimes people won't tell you what they're struggling with because they're trying to put on a brave face. So you can say, what are you struggling with right now? In my coaching program, every single month, there's a post that I make that just says, hey guys, what are you struggling with right now? Post, and I will help you. And then another once a month. So I worded that terribly, didn't I? Every single week in my coaching program, there's a different post that I make. One week it is, what are you struggling with? Another week it is, what is your biggest fears that you haven't told us? Like, let's work on them. Another week it is like, how can I serve you? And I will often jump in there and say, what do you guys need from me? What podcast can I do for you? And I say this on my channel. And by the way, if you have a podcast you would like me to do or a question, please leave a comment. Like, absolutely. But I will basically ask these questions of like, how can I do a better job? Like, how can I be a better coach to you? Or how can you open up with something maybe you haven't opened up with because you're worried about opening up? So that's really fucking helped me. And similar to that is I've always tried to see myself as the student rather than the teacher. So rather than being the expert, I've always said, look, I don't have all the answers. I mean, go back and watch the start of this podcast or this video. I literally said, I'm not the expert in making money. This is just what's worked for me. Here is my credentials. Here is how much money I've earned right now. Right now, for the last 3 months, it's averaged $18,000. That's where I'm at. Take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt. I don't purport to be the expert. I never purport to be the expert. I don't have all the answers. I'm just a guy who's tried some shit. Some of it's worked, some of it hasn't. And then I try and report on it and give it to you guys and girls to hopefully save you some time and some headaches and some pain and some suffering and all of that sort of shit. So I try and see myself as the student. And in doing so, I guess part of that is trying to be humble. And I am not perfectly humble. I have a beautiful big ego, just like all of you, but I try and be as humble as I possibly can. In being humble and seeing myself as the student, I'm then open to new information, right? Like a client might say something and I might, instead of just going, you're wrong, bro, that's stupid. And my ego might want me to say that. But if I can just see myself as the student, I can take a deep breath, step back, not answer right away, take a deep breath, relax and go, does what they're saying have anything that I can learn? Like, can I learn from what they're saying? Or are they just telling me their truth? And just because it's not my truth doesn't mean it's wrong. Like, can I look at it from their perspective? Can I see how they came to that information or that answer? Can I learn something from that? Or can I at least understand them? Can I love them for saying what they've said? Okay, good. I mean, it's why you heard me say 5 or 6 times in this video when I was bringing up the example of Andrew Tate. What did I say? I said, Andrew Tate is not wrong. I don't think he's stupid. I don't judge him. I'm not against him. No hate on him. Like, I'm trying to specifically say, I'm not correct and I think Andrew Tate is wrong. And I will say that about everyone. I don't think I'm correct and they're wrong. In fact, I've got a lot of content on this. One of the most relevant is a podcast I did called Everybody Has a Different Rule Book to You. And the point of that video is people have different opinions, preferences, likes, their own opinion of truth and what that might mean. It doesn't mean they're wrong and you're right. You're just playing by a different set of rules, a different rule book. So as much as I can, I try and be the student. I try and be open to new information. And I try not to say I'm right. Like, I try not to say I'm the fucking expert, listen to me. Similar to that, I try and then be grateful to my clients and customers for their opinions, for the things that they say, and just for them in general. And I try and do that with you guys too. I've done probably at this point 10 or 15 podcasts and videos, literally just called, I'm grateful. Well, thank you. I did one recently. It'll be coming out on Spotify in the next month, I think. I think it's just called I'm grateful, why I'm grateful for you or something like that, or why I appreciate you, something like that. And so as much as I can, I try and get that gratitude across. I try and say it. Don't just feel it, although feeling it is beautiful. If you can just feel it, that's amazing, but try and get that across. Same thing applies in relationships. I am constantly telling the girls that we date and sleep with, like, I'm grateful for you. You're awesome. I really like you. I constantly praise them. I talk about that a lot. I did a video, you can just search the channel for praise, and I talk about like why I praise my partners a ton, like during sex and then obviously outside of it. But it's just a really nice, like mutually beneficial thing. If you can express gratitude as much as possible, you get some of that back. And even if you get none of it back, it fucking feels good for you. Gratitude and love, I guess you can say love is gratitude, or gratitude is a form of love. Love, gratitude are probably the only things I think, maybe not the only things, but two things that immediately come to mind, and it's pretty rare, where the person who's giving gets as much as the person who's receiving. It's not a zero-sum game. It's not like one person wins and one person loses, or one person gets and one person gives. Like, love and gratitude makes you feel fucking good, and then the other person feels fucking good, and then they often say, man, I'm grateful for you. And then they get to feel good saying that, and then you feel good hearing that, and you're like, holy shit, like we just both won twice. Love is one of those things where it's like you can generate something out of nothing. We talk about, Newton's, which second or first, I don't know, basically conservation of energy, that you can't just make something out of nothing. You can't have perpetual motion. You can't just generate energy or matter out of thin air. It has to come from something else. You can't just make it. Love is possibly the exception to that. At least it is in a hippie sort of way. Like, how is it possible that I can just generate good feelings out of fucking like the tiniest little bit? All I did was say, hey, I'm grateful for you, or hey, I love you. Oh shit, I just felt good. So I just transmuted those words, I love you, into feeling good. I turned that into feeling good. But then you also felt good. And then you often gave it back, and holy shit, like we've just generated something out of nothing, so to speak. So it's kind of a hippie way of thinking about energy and matter and all of that. But fuck you, Newton, you're wrong. What did I say before about not telling yourself that you're the expert and that you're right and other people are wrong? This is the appropriate time to bring out an emoji that Imogen made. She made this emoji for me, and I've been waiting for the right time to use it. Fuck you, Newton, you're wrong. Perfect. All right. Another thing that's helped me is sharing my success with clients and customers. So, and the audience, like you guys. Anytime I succeed, I will give you guys credit and my clients credit and gratitude as well. Give you gratitude and say like, fuck. And credit and gratitude for how much people have helped me. And not just you guys. I also, you'll notice a lot of the time, give credit to like Good Looking Loser. I talk about Mark Manson. I talk about all the people that sort of helped me. Fuck. Even though, and we're just going to keep bringing him up today, aren't we? Andrew Tate. I am fucking grateful for Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate is like the most beautiful fucking example out there right now in the current, zeitgeist, in the current culture of how I don't want to be abrasive and I don't want to be hated, because I don't like hate. I prefer low drama. I don't expect everyone to love me, obviously. I know that people will hate me. I get hateful comments sometimes, but generally speaking, I want my life to be drama free. And I look at Andrew Tate and I'm like, that's not a life free of drama. And so I'm fucking grateful to him. I fucking love that he's out there doing that shit, running his hustle, playing by his own game plan and his own rule book, which I love. I love that he knows what he wants and he goes after it. Because then it shows me like, fuck, okay, look, I don't want to be like that. I want to be more like this person. So fucking, as much as you possibly can, give credit, give love, give gratitude to your customers, to people you look up to mentors, to celebrities, anyone. Like, just anytime you succeed as well, give credit. Don't take all the credit. You feel a lot better and your audience loves you more, and everything builds and you build a beautiful community and a relationship if you don't take full credit. Like, if you can think of it as you're all a team or a community, then people want to get behind you and help grow it together. We talked about universal appeal before, and a good example of this, I'll bring him up again. So Andrew Tate has a little bit of community, and he does talk about like us and, it's us versus the matrix, but he uses the word I. If you go back and watch a lot of his videos, he uses the word I when he's talking about his own ambitions and stuff so much. Like, he doesn't say, we want to grow this community. We're building something beautiful. I want to help you guys. Like, he does talk about that a little bit, but for the most part, it's I'm top dog. I'm top G. I'm this. I'm the best. I'm the greatest motherfuckers. I will take on anyone. It's like I. And it's a little harder to get behind that as a community because you feel more like you're just idolizing some guy who's better than you. And that's another thing I've tried to do. I've tried not to say that I'm better than any of you. And so as much as you possibly can, if you can have a team or a community, people want to get behind that. It's why I use language like we. It's why I say, look at what we've done in our community. It's why I say, like, I'm grateful for all of you. It's why I say, when we do cool, amazing shit, like, really, really, really impressive stuff, I give you guys and girls credit for that. I'm like, look what we fucking did. Even if I did 98% of the work, I don't even buy that. It's like, it doesn't feel like I did 98% of the work when I have all of you supporting me. It feels like I did 10% of the work and you guys all fucking carried me. So as much as you can, if you can foster a team or a community, people want to get behind you. So it's the similar concept in dating when I talk about it's you and me on the same team. It's not you versus me. If you can treat women, or any women listening, if you can treat men, if you can treat the opposite gender as, or any of you homosexuals out there, if you can treat the same gender. So if you can treat whoever you're dating, very inclusive of me, if you can treat whoever you're dating as if they're on the same team as you, then they want to fucking help you. I've talked about this a lot when I talk about what people call last minute resistance, where, maybe you're at your house, you're about to have sex with a girl, you're making out, and then she just like keeps saying no, or she pushes your hand away, or she's like hesitant or nervous. A lot of guys go into that with like this combative, fucking weird mindset of like, how do I force, and they don't use the word force, but they're like, how do I get her to have sex with me? And it's like, that's not on the same fucking team. That's like treating her as the enemy, as like something you're trying to conquer. You're trying to like force her. You're trying to like manipulate her or get you. And I know it doesn't always come from that like very manipulative mindset, but it's definitely not on the same team. And what I've talked about is treat it like like you're on the same team. Just be fucking honest and say, look, I really like you. I want to take this further, but it seems like you're a little hesitant and shit. Do you want to like chill for the rest of the time? Do you want to stop right now? Or are you just nervous? Are you worried like we'll go too far? Is it that you feel like we just haven't talked enough? Is that you feel like we're just moving a little too quick? You want to chill out a little bit? You want to have some foreplay? Like what do you want? Like, let's talk about it. And you're basically saying like, let's be on the same team. And if she says like, look, I really don't want to today, you're like, fucking sweet, cool, we'll do something next time. Like, what do you want to do now then? Do you want to make out a little bit? Do you want to chill? Do you want to go for a walk? Like, what do you want to do? Or I might get some work done. Like, maybe I'll walk you back to your car or something. Like, you just fucking chill. And half the time, because you're on the same team, she can then open up to you and just say, look, I'm just a little nervous. I want to go a little slow. And you go, okay, what if we go really slow? Maybe you can tell me if you feel like we're going too fast. You can just say, hey, can we slow down? How does that sound? And she goes, yeah, that sounds really good. Thank you for fucking treating me like we're on the same team. So as much as you possibly can, treating people like they're on the same team as you, that it's not just you, especially with content. It's not just like you at the top of the spearhead. Obviously you are at the top of the spearhead, but you don't have to stand on top of the shoulders of everybody else. It's all of you together. And the way that I think about it is, if I succeed, I want all of you to succeed. I don't want it to just be like, I'm fucking rich, I'm earning $100,000 a month or more than that, and you're all just fucking working your normal jobs and everything's the same. It's like, if I succeed, I want to pull up as many of you as possible. So thinking of it in terms of a team. Shut up, phone. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, my notifications. Shut the fuck up, phone. Yeah, team dynamic definitely helps. Similar to that, I said this before, but I don't see myself as the expert or the person that knows everything, and that's really helped, because it's helped me be open to new information. And so you will hear me say sometimes, especially my coaching clients, I'll get asked a question and I'll just be honest and say, look, I don't know. Let's try Googling it. Or maybe this will work. Let's try that. Or I have a friend who tried this, and I'm not guaranteeing because that's just one person. That's a sample size of one, but he tried this. Maybe try that, see if that works. And so clients and customers obviously respect your honesty, because then it frees them up to go and find the answer, or you can help them find the answer. And so as much as I possibly can, I try and say, I don't know when I don't know. I will sometimes theorize and say, maybe it's this, but yeah, as much as I can. And I'm not perfect with this. You don't have to be perfect with any of this shit. I'll make that clear. You don't have to be perfect with your humility or honesty or, being the student. We're just trying to do our best. Yeah, so similar to that, if let's say you're not doing coaching like me, you're just working a job, or maybe you're someone that has employees, or you're like a middle manager or something. I've been a middle manager in most of my jobs. I say the same shit, and it blows my mind that so many companies and people don't do this. I say, like, bring them onto your team, like share the business with them, tell them how much you're earning, tell them when things go well, tell them when things don't. Like, when I worked retail, I worked at a bunch of supermarkets, and I worked at like Target, and I worked at different jobs like that. And I was the manager at like all those jobs. I would like literally go and get the profit loss statement, which was like a book that had like, all the profits that we'd made, all our expenditures. It showed you like how much each, like the staff wages were. It showed you how much electricity was, and you could see like the percentage that you'd earned. We were earning, in case any of you care, roughly 3 to 5%. 3 to 5% for a retail is really good. As in like whatever total what am I trying to say? Whatever total fucking revenue you're making, if you just keep 3 to 5% of that after you've spent all your money on wages and electricity and products and everything, if you keep 3 to 5% in retail, that was considered really fucking good, by the way. So yeah, retail isn't operating on the margins you might think, but they make a fuck ton of money because they just have a ridiculous number of stores and a ridiculous number of customers coming in through the door and a ridiculous number of like things being sold. So yeah, interesting fucking industry to work in. Anyway, I would literally show them that fucking book, the profit loss statement book, every fucking week. I'd open it up. I'd call them into my, I didn't have an office, but I'd call them into like the staff, like the tea room where we'd eat our food. I'd open it up and I'd be like, all right, so here's how we're trending. See how much we did here. See how we threw out all these products last week. Remember that? That's what this big number is here. See how this month we've only earned 2% profit instead of 5%. That's mostly because of this and this and this. So you can see how, that time when maybe you were late to work and we fell behind and we didn't do stuff and we weren't in time for the promotion. Like, see how that affected the bottom line. And I would like literally show them shit. And I'd show them where I had made mistakes and I'd show them where, maybe they had room for improvement. And we would talk about all of that. And that got them so fucking unbelievably excited about the business because they were like, holy shit, like I want to be part of this. Like I now know my actions mean something. I now have a purpose for showing up to work. It's not just, I got to fucking show up to my stinking dead end job to just pay the bills. It's like, no, if I show up and do a good fucking job, that number gets bigger. And then my boss, Andy, and I never thought of myself as a boss. That's another fucking thing. I was like, I'm a team member. We're all fucking in this together, right? Like, I'm not better than you. I'm just earning a tiny bit more than you, and I have slightly more responsibilities than you. I'm not better. Anyway, they would think Andy is going to give me fucking gratitude if I work harder, and that number's going to go up, and I'm going to feel good, and we all feel good, and as a team, we all celebrate, and we pat each other on the back and shit. Holy fuck, like, I have a reason now to actually put in some effort. So if you do have a company or you have employees or something, which I now have a few, as much as I possibly can, I make them a part of the business. I tell them when things are going well. I tell them when their actions have directly affected things. Fuck, I even do that with some of my coaching clients. Ed is probably the best example. I've done 4 interviews with Ed now, or there's 4 videos on my channel talking to Ed. Ed has brought in so many coaching clients. Like, so many coaching clients have directly said to me, I watched those videos. Ed's story, Ravi's another good example of someone who's done this as well. Ravi and Ed's stories have inspired me. I literally signed up because of them. And so I will tell them. I'll say, look, dude, this person that's just like fucking joined the coaching program? Because Ed, by the way, is now a mini coach in my program. So if you sign up, you get access to Ed as a mini coach. Ooh, exciting. So I'll say to Ed, look, brother. Sorry, let's turn that fucking alarm off. I'll say to Ed, listen, brother, this person that just signed up because of you. Because your fucking story inspired him. And he always loves to hear that. I've said the same shit to Ravi. So if you can share with other people, and I do the same with you guys and girls, whenever I have a big month or I have something amazing, I will sit there and say, hey, this is thanks to you. Whenever we do something cool in the community, I will thank you. So, excuse me, I'm losing my fucking voice. Anytime something big happens, I will share that. And I might start wrapping up in a second. This video is already gone for an hour and I have to go in a second. So think of it in your mind as like growing the business together. It's not just you growing by yourself. If you can give them a percentage of earnings that your company makes, I'm not currently doing that. I'll be very honest. That is something that I really want to do, especially with Cam. I want to be able to give him part of the money that we earn for each coaching client signing up. So that's, more in the longer term. You can say I'm doing that with Imogen for sure. Like Imogen and I basically split the money because she puts in a metric fuck ton. So I guess you can say I'm doing that, but that then makes people have a vested interest in growing the business with you. You can even just do it with like a little bonus. And I've got some friends that do that. They have like personal assistants or virtual assistants and they're not giving them like a share of the company, but every time they have a good week, they'll pay that person like $50 or $100. So that's like kind of a share of the company, but basically you want people to give a shit about you succeeding. Another way to do that is to give value like I talked about before. You all, okay, not all of you, but like lots of you want me to succeed because if I get to certain metrics of earnings and stuff, I will have more time, energy, money, love to give to you. You understand that if Andy succeeds, we fucking benefit. And so you want to get behind me. So as much as you can get people invested in your business or your community or whatever it is, they will absolutely help you fucking grow. And some of them will be your biggest cheerleaders. Like Cam is my biggest goddamn cheerleader. You guys don't understand behind the scenes, like how, and I say it all the time, but Cam does a metric fuck ton of work. Like, so much work. He's one of my biggest fucking cheerleaders because he understands, and he's directly said this, Andy, if you succeed, I fucking win. And so let's fucking win together. And I'm like, hell yeah, brother, let's do it. So that's some of the learning lessons that have helped me. Obviously, that's not all of them. That isn't the correct way to run a business. I don't even often think of this as a business. It's more like a fucking community, but you got the idea. Community business, same shit. Obviously, if you would like help with any of this, we do coach guys on starting their own businesses. Right now, we have a guy that's doing an ebook business. We also have a couple of guys getting promotions. That's actually something that we've helped quite a few people on, like just getting paid more or quitting their job and going somewhere better, like someone with less hours or more money or a better position or remote. And most of my clients seem to work in the software industry. So if you work in a software job, hello, we'd love to have you as part of the coaching program. We also have a guy building up his Twitch streaming income, which is really cool because you guys know, or I've said it enough times, I fucking love YouTube. I love that I get to be a quote YouTuber now. I love getting to sit here. I get really excited when someone else comes in and goes, hey, I want to start a YouTube channel. I think we've had like 5 people who've started a YouTube channel, like in the coaching, like we've helped them start that. So if that's anything you care about, we would love to coach you, even if it's just building a community like I've tried to do. We would absolutely love to have you. As always, ladies and gentlemen, go out there and crush those goals and give a ton of value and have fun in the process.